Welcome back, my friend. This is Alan, and today we have a special episode, a live episode of Talking Wrestling. And with me, I have a WWE legend, a guy that make history in wrestling history and also in the legendary golden era and new generation era of the WWF. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one and the only Barry Horowitz. Barry, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Alan. I'm glad to be a part of the show. I couldn't wait to do this, and I hope all my fans from all and about, all over the world, are listening right now and watching, because we're gonna have a good time.
A good time, and also about your good career, my friends. And we start with your trainer. You was trained by the legendary Boris Malenko, the same guy that trained a legend like you, Tugboat 123 Hit. Tell me something about your trainer, Boris Malenko.
Wow, what can I tell you about him? I mean, I am so fortunate in this professional wrestling career to meet him and to be mentored by him. I mean, there's a lot of greats that are being taught nowadays and even back in the day, but I just think Boris Malenko, Professor Boris Malenko, was the epitome of teaching. I mean, he started from square one. It was what was in priority, what's in order. He built Barry Horowitz, his foundation of his house. The house was built by Malenko, and I was just keeping my mouth shut, listening, and be accountable. And I was very young. I was working a part-time job. I was working out, and then I was in Malenko's school for 3 days a week, 3 hours a night, winter or summer, for over a year. And I really think that helped me a lot as far as my mindset, my athletic ability, my amateur background, himself, the other greats, Carl von Stroheim, his sons, and also the late, great Carl Gotch. I'm very fortunate to have these people in my circle, and it was just nothing but fun, but work, and fun turned into work, and work turned into fun, if you know what I'm saying.
Cool, very cool. And you debuted in the WWF in 1982. In 1982, I believe January 1982, in the TV show Championship Wrestling, but under the name Barry Art. Why you start with this name Barry Art?
Well, actually, it was 1981, and it was for Vince McMahon Sr., the WWF. Um, that's as far as that's when I traveled. My first was little independent shows in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Sunbelt Wrestling, the likes of Handsome Jimmy Valiant were there. Joe Scarpa, aka Chief J Strongbow, was there. The late Don Curtis, he was a promoter from Jacksonville, Florida. So I was working the indie circuit and getting my feet wet. But when I finally packed up and moved, I had to, I had to progress in my trade, and that's when I started working and doing TVs for about a year. We did them in Allentown and Hamburg, Pennsylvania, for Vince Senior and Junior, and that's when it was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. That's when Bob Backlund was the champion. Superstar
Yes.
Billy Graham there, Saito, Fuji, Lou Albano, Koloff, Jimmy Snuka was there, Bob Orton Jr. Anybody who was anybody, when you were there wrestling for Vince Sr., you only went there a few months at a year. This was the cream of the crop. And then you would go back to Crockett Promotions, Florida Championship Wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, World Class Championship Wrestling. So that was like the main event of your tour when you went there. And you only stayed a few months. There was only a few people that were full-time, and they were very fortunate. And I'm fortunate to even meet there and work there and progress there. I'm very lucky.
I see. I remember. What is the backstage atmosphere in those years in the WWF.
What is the what now? I'm sorry, Alan.
The backstage, always the backstage was the backstage feeling atmosphere in those years in the WWF in 1981, 1982.
Oh, it wasn't. It was just no. It wasn't. It was very busy backstage. Everybody's being business. I would think I was, of course, I was overwhelmed with all these superstars. But again, I tried not to show, wasn't in fear, just a little bit of nervous, and just kept, like I said, just kept my mouth shut and did my job, and it prevailed. It prevailed, and it showed, especially with people. I mean, almost everybody there, but special people like Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco, Roddy Piper. I could just feel a little bit more attention from them.
Okay, but why you choose the name Barry Hart? Why you was called?
Well, my name is okay. It's Barry Horowitz, but of course now I've been reinvented as Mr. Technical Barry Horowitz.
Yeah,
but Barry Hart was given to Barry Hart was given to me by Malenko. He said, "Let's use Barry Hart," and I said, "Okay, that sounded good." And that's how that started. He gave me that name.
Okay, you have some match in those years against this legend. I have also the figure, Greg the Hammer Valentine, the Hall of Famer. What do you think about Greg the Hammer Valentine as a president, but also behind the scene? What is your opinion of Greg Valentine?
I've only wrestled Greg a few times. I enjoyed it. He's a little bit different kind of wrestler. He stays in the middle and just works his hold. He's a legend. He's a legend. His father was a legend. His name's a legend. I mean, he was main event. He was chasing the world title against Backlund. Every territory he's been somebody. He's main event or semi-main event material. And as far as backstage, always treated me nice. Just, said hello to me, or a couple of jokes, or he showed me his Rolex, and he was always nice to me. Never, never unpleasant, or there was no problem ever with Greg Valentine.
Okay, and you talked earlier about these other guys. I have also the figure of this guy, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You have some men against Superfly. How is Superfly as a wrestler, but also as a human being behind the scene?
He was a good. I like Jimmy because it's the first time I ever took the splash off the top was from Jimmy Snuka, and then of course I've taken it from a lot of people. Up from I've taken it from all the Samoans, and also Eddie Guerrero. But the first Superfly splash was I remember it was Allentown, Pennsylvania TV. I took it from Jimmy. He told me how to do it. He helped me a lot with different tips about training, as far as in the weight room, as far as wrestling. He was always polite to me, and he always took care of me in the ring. And I respect Jimmy and all the Samoan people so much. The Samoans are, if they like you, they take care of you. If they don't like you, you need to leave town.
Okay.
I've always got along with all the Samoans, and the only reason I did, out of respect, I wasn't, some kind of goof in the back, playing ribs and acting stupid. And they like athletes, and they like guys that know how to wrestle. Because if you have 100 Samoan people, 99 of them could wrestle. There's maybe 1% that maybe not that good. Yeah, I have so much respect for the Samoans and their athletic ability. They're phenomenal in the wrestling ring.
And speaking about the Superfly, do you think that Jimmy Snuka was a tough guy?
Oh, definitely. He was definitely a top guy. I mean, again, he's traveled all the big organizations, and he's always been main event. Especially, Vince Jr. and Sr. loved him. He was the main event. I mean, the Superfly off the cage in Madison Square Garden. I mean, the man can't, and he looked great. His promos were good. He's sadly missed in my eyes.
Okay, thank you. And you fight also with many giants also in your career, including this guy. You have a custom figure again. This is my custom figure, Black Jack Mulligan, 6'10",
Yeah.
300 pounder. Always fight against a big guy like Black Jack Mulligan. Was difficult fight against a guy very tall like him.
Was it difficult?
Fight against a giant so tall like Black Jack Mulligan was difficult than fight another normal guy. What is the
Yeah,
difference?
a little bit different. I'm not going to go in there and approach him like I would somebody like Brad Armstrong or Owen Hart or Bret Hart. It's going to be a little bit different because he is a giant. But if you're a good worker, a good wrestler, you adapt to everybody's, either small people, big people, giant people, girls, whatever. You adapt if you want to be a good, versatile worker. And I never wanted to be a standstill worker. I just do one thing. I like to do everything. And I think it just makes a better wrestler. Otherwise, you get stuck and labeled as he does this always or does that always, and he can't wrestle. This guy can't. You know, I wanted to be a jack of all trades.
Okay, and what do you think about the Black Jack Mulligan as a wrestler, as a worker? Was a good worker? Was good work with him?
I really don't know Blackjack that well. I only met him a few times up there, and he was gone. I think I only wrestled him once on TV.
Yeah, I did.
I know. I know Blackjack's son's a little bit better, but yeah, he was very polite to me, and he joked with me a little bit, and there was no problem. You know, I was just a young guy. He knew. I don't think I may have saw him maybe two more times traveling, but I didn't see him that much.
Okay. And speaking of giants, you have some match also against the other giants, Big John Studd.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite, Big John Studd. And what do you think? You have some memory about Big John Studd, about your match with Studd?
I really don't have too many memories of him. Wasn't really a big John Studd fan. I didn't think for a giant guy he wasn't that great of a worker in my eyes as a giant. You know, I think I don't think he was in Andre the Giant's eyes either. If you know what I'm saying. I think Andre gave him a little tune-up, if you know what I mean.
Yes, there is some story about that Andre the Giants didn't like Big John Studd.
Yeah, I don't think he cared for him or Bam Bam, Ultimate Warrior. Andre was, yeah, they may have been disrespectful, but I wasn't a big fan of John Studd's. And when I did talk to him, he was kind of cocky and kind of he wasn't pleasant to be around me. That's my opinion. I didn't like that. I mean, I was new and stuff, but there's no reason to treat me like that. And plus, as I progressed in the business, he wasn't really that great of a worker. He really wasn't. I mean, his body, if you looked at it, his upper body was suing his lower body for non-support. I mean, the man had no legs.
Okay.
I'm just telling you like it is. The last time I seen legs like that, they were hanging from a nest.
Okay. And speaking of tag team match, you have some tag team match against Mr. Fuji along with Saito. You have some story, something. What do you think about Mr. Fuji as a wrestler, especially?
Oh, as a wrestler, I thought that him and Saito were a good tag team. I loved his finish, the Banzai headbutt. Nobody does it. And I liked Mr. Fuji. He was a jokester, though. He liked to, you know, joke around a lot, but he was kind to me. I think deep down he respected me and treated me well. The same with Saito. Very good wrestler. Traveled the world. I have a lot of respect for both of them.
Okay. And in what is for you the difference between Vince Senior and Vince Junior? The
Wow.
difference between
I think Vince Senior was more just old school. And he liked Bob Backlund and the wrestling aspect. And then Vince Jr., I think, just was the more updated version. You know, the 90s, the 2000, the music, the pyro, uh, making wrestling going from very good to very great.
okay. Speaking of, because there is some fan that watching right now. In the last minutes, you can for the fans, you can make your question in the last minutes of the interview. Right now, we continue to take a look about the legacy, the story, and the career of Barry Horowitz. This is a message for the fan that watching right now the interview. Okay, in 1983, you goes to the NWA. Is correct?
That is
And
correct.
okay,
Promotions.
and why you goes to NWA? You remember the reason behind?
Well, I was with the WWF Vince Sr. For over a year just doing TV matches, and I needed to learn more. I needed to hit the road. I needed to travel with veterans. I needed to wrestle 10, 15 minutes every single night. And the original plan was I was supposed to go to Portland, Oregon, through via Jimmy Snuka was going to get me there. The territory was full. So Vince Sr. called Crockett Sr. and got me there. And I'm very grateful because I stayed there 2 years and I was in the car 6 nights a week traveling, once on a plane for once a month to go to Canada. But we wrestled North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and I was traveling with the referee Tommy. Oh, I can't believe it. I know it was Sonny Fargo and Tommy Young, and I would travel Rufus R. Jones, Handsome Jimmy Valiant, Vinny Valentino, sometimes Orton Jr., sometimes Flair. Bugsy McGraw was there, Steamboat, Youngblood. I mean, you name it. I mean, they were there in big shows, big arenas, and outside shows and TV. And it was, I needed that. And then I started traveling with Youngblood and Steamboat a lot, just kept my mouth shut, listened, watched all the matches. Always, you would stay till the end. It was demanded by Crockett for everybody to watch the matches till the end, which is really a good idea. You study your craft, you learn things, mistakes and whatnot, and you just learn a lot. And that's what got me polished. So Malenko built the foundation. I learned a little bit, the TV matches and whatnot with Vince Sr., but then the actual more of the traveling, the wrestling, conducting yourself in and out of the ring as a professional, the traveling again, the cars, the rooms, people again. Mike Rotundo was there also, one man gang. When you're traveling with all these people and working with a plethora of wrestlers, and you got a good mindset, and you're staying in shape, you're not partying, you're not out to the bars at 4 a.m. spending all that money, and you take your craft serious, you got nothing but to go up and progress. You have to, unless you're just stupid. I mean, have to. And that was my dream and goal. I ate, drank, sleep, everything, training and wrestling. Training and wrestling.
Yes, is a choice of life.
It was a way of life, a choice of life. I was also, not too many people know this, Alan, I was on the first original Starrcade in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. And you was under the name Bret Hart, is correct? You was called Bret Hart.
Oh my God, I'm trying to live that one down, Alan. Actually, when I got there, I was Barry Hart. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember, I don't know if it was Michael Hayes or Dory Funk Jr. You got Gary Hart there as a heel manager, Barry Hart as a babyface. Back then it mattered. Now it doesn't. We got to change your name. There's going to be too much confusion. And so they said, we're going to call you Bret Hart. Hey, I don't know there's a real Bret Hart. I don't care. I just want to wrestle. I want to wrestle and make money. So you can call me, you can call me whatever you want, So I didn't know about Bret in Calgary and Stu and Owen and his 20,000 brothers. I didn't know. And so, yes, I was Bret Hart for 2 years.
Cool. And in 1985, you go to CWF, it's correct? And you
Yes.
had two managers, including the Percy Pringles. That was the first gimmick of this guy, Paul Bear. What do you think? If you have some memory about Percy Pringle, what do you think about Paul Bear in general?
Well, first of all, I was so excited when I left Crockett Promotions to go to Florida because that's where I'm from. That's where I went to school. I went to FSU. I graduated high school there. I grew up there. I learned how to be a professional wrestler there. And to be with the likes of Dusty Rhodes and Don Morocco and Mike Graham and Eddie Graham and Dory Funk and Terry Funk, Florida Championship Wrestling, Gordon Soley, it was an honor because not too many people that are really from Florida get a chance to do something. And the only people off the top of my head are Steve Kern, Brian Blair, Hulk Hogan, myself, that were actually, progressed. I mean, I defeated Mike Graham in his hometown for the Florida heavyweight title as Jack the Stretcher Hart. So you say, Jack Hart, what happened there? I know you're going to ask me that, Alan. And Mike Graham, let's call you Jack Hart because they had to change it again. I think that was also, Michael Hayes and Mike Graham. They're really good minds in professional wrestling. Unbelievable. When you think of good minds, I think of them, and I think of Jerry Jarrett, but just really good people. And so they made me Jack Hart, and I was treated very well there. I got a great push there, and it was fulfilling all my dreams. I mean, it was just, I couldn't believe this was all. I was just happy to be wrestling there, but to get a break. And then the booker there was Dutch Mantell at the time, and he treated me well. And it was incredible. As far as Percy being my manager, also Sir Oliver Humperdinck was my manager there.
Yes.
And they were both good managers. They helped me with my promos. Also, Gordon Soley helped me with my promos. His sons, they're directors, and Dookie Amoka there. Just Steve Kern, Brian Blair, Scott McGee. It was really cool. We traveled Florida, and it was fun. And I was home every night. The farthest we'd go was once a month. We'd take a private plane to the Bahamas. We'd wrestle there, and it was just it was a big time learning experience, and just another notch, so to speak, in my belt, if you want to say that, in lack of a better words, of just progressing in my career as a professional athlete.
Cool. And you, in 1987, you returned to the WWF. What is the difference from the WWF of 1987 and between the WWF in 1987 and the WWF in 1981? What is the difference in the federation?
First of all, just, Vince Jr. was in charge. It was just more elaborate. The TVs were bigger, the catering, the traveling, everything was just, venturing the Hollywood journey, so to speak. But real quick, when I left Florida, I went to Tennessee, Memphis to work for Jerry Jarrett. And I was only there a few months. We defeated Rocky Johnson and Soul Train Jones, me and Chick Donovan, for the Southern Tag Team belts in the Memphis Coliseum, which was a big deal. And they treated Jack, they kept Jack Hart's name there, and they treated me well. But I guess the scouts from the WWF saw me, they reported it, and they wanted me to come work for them.
Under the name Barry Horowitz, with your name,
yes,
Barry
they
Horowitz.
changed. Vince wanted me to use Barry Horowitz as my name. It was Jewish. I was a heel. It worked well. And then I invented Mr. Technical Barry Horowitz because I am a bona fide, certified, purified, and electrified technical wrestler. If you don't believe me, ask me.
And you have some match also against an Hall of Famer legend, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes.
What do you think about Jake the Snake Roberts? Do you have some memory also about Jake, maybe behind the scenes, something like that?
I like Jake a lot. You know, some people knock him, but people knock me too. I mean, it's the wrestling business. If you want a friend in the wrestling business, buy a dog, but that's another story. Jake treated me very well. I liked working with Jake, and he gave me tips. He was in Crockett Promotions back in the day, and they had a ring in the baseball stadium there, Charlotte Memorial Stadium. The ring was outside, and we would train. And Jake would help with me, different tips and so forth. And always been nice to me and respectful. I liked his work, his promos, the DDT. I think he had some demons back in the day. That's none of my business, but he didn't harm me. But I think Jake is straightened up. I saw him at some live meet and greets last year. He looked good. He was very complimentary and pleasant to me, and it was good to see him. I like Jake. I know him a long time. I know Sam Houston. I know Rockin' Robin. I know the great late Grizz Smith. His father was an agent for the WWF, and he was a good agent. Him and Nick Bockwinkel and Strongbow and Sergeant Jacques Rene Goulet and Tony Gurria, Georgie Animal Steel. These were all good agents. I liked them, and they helped me. So.
Okay. And what do you think about the rule of Jake the Snake right now in AEW?
Oh, I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad he's there. I wish I was there. I like their format and their wrestling. They've got a lot of good and great workers there. I like the product. But I think Jake is doing well, and good for him. I'm glad for him. He deserves it.
Yes, it's awesome. You in 1988, I believe, on October 25, 1988, on WWF Superstars, you had an Intercontinental Championship match against the Ultimate Warrior. You have also the figure. What do you think about Ultimate Warrior?
Oh my God! I wish you didn't bring that one up, but let's see. Wrestling ability. Run to the ring, shake ropes, clothesline, face paint. Music stops, so does the match. Go home. When I first met Jim Hellwig, Dingo Warrior, very polite, very respectful. Didn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch, wasn't taught very well. Which, I mean, these things happen with certain people. It depends on your mindset. If you're just a bodybuilder and you're going to be taught to be a pro wrestler, sometimes it doesn't pan out. Sometimes it does. But he was pretty cool until he got the big head, the big push, and maybe surrounded and hung around with people you shouldn't hang around with, you know, in this ear and that ear. And he became belligerent and stiff. I didn't care for working for him, but I'm a true professional, and so I had to make him look like he could wrestle. So I think that's why I was with him a lot. I mean, if you're going to put him with somebody that doesn't have my ability, the match isn't going to look good. You're going to put holes in a match. People see through those holes, and it'll be an expose, and he won't draw you flies in a phone booth.
Okay, okay. Because I saw some video about other wrestlers, and they says the same things about Ultimate Warrior. It's not only your opinion. Many guys think the same things about Ultimate Warrior.
You know, Alan, 20 years ago in the locker room, they're not going to say this. They got to watch what they say. People talk, people tell on you. Now, they don't care. They're not under contract no more. Some of these guys are retired, and they don't care. But I would say most of them didn't like him. I've been in restaurants where he's screaming and whatnot, and I just didn't like being around him in the locker room. If I'm going to sit with somebody in the locker room, I want to be near Bob Backlund or Barry Darso or Bill Eadie or Jimmy Snuka or any of the Samoans. I don't want to be around somebody like that. I don't. They come north, I go south. It's not my cup of tea.
Okay, perfect. And now you have also some match against a super heavyweight, Bam Bam Bigelow. You have also the figure, the 400-pound Bam Bam Bigelow. What do you think about Bam Bam?
His gimmick, the tattoos on the head, everything, phenomenal. As an athlete, for a fat guy, not bad. Not bad. I didn't care being around him either. I think I've worked with him. It was okay. A bit of a loud mouth. Some of those guys, not all of them, but some of them from the area he's from in South Jersey are like that. And nothing against that, because I love Jersey. I've traveled there. I've lived there for a couple of years. They're great fans, and I mean that wholeheartedly. But he was just a little bit obnoxious and just loud, and I don't know. Some people liked him, some didn't. Not real bad, but again, I don't want to travel with him, and I didn't really care about being in the locker room with him.
Okay. And speaking of another guy, I have also the custom figure another guy that you have some match was another legend, JYD, Junkyard Dog. This is my custom figure. What do you think about him?
I like him a lot. The first time I met him, me and Tim Horner, White Lightning Tim Horner, picked him up at the airport for Crockett Promotions. He was, back in the day, when Bill Watts was in charge, I think it was the UWF or Universal, when Dr. Death Steve Williams was there, and everybody was there, Paul Orndorff, but JYD was like the Hulk Hogan of Louisiana. He was tremendous. The gimmick, everything. He came to WWF. I don't think I've ever worked with him. Not that I remember. Always a gentleman. Never act like a big shot, because he's a top guy, main eventer. He looked tremendous. I liked the way he looked. I liked the way he talked. He was funny. I like being around the guy. He was really a cool guy, and it saddens me too that he's gone also, because he never did nothing wrong to me. He's always treated me with respect, and for what he did in the ring, it was good. He was over. He was definitely over, the JYD. He was awesome.
Awesome. And you have also some match also against in the Golden Era, but also in the New Generation era against Bret Hart.
Yeah.
What do you think about Bret Hart?
I like Bret Hart a lot. I've noticed when I see him on the meet and greets, he's even more respectful towards me. I saw him last year, first time in 20 years. I liked working with Bret. I've had good matches with him. I like his style. I like the whole Hart family, his father, his mother, Owen, of course, my favorite. I've had so many matches with Owen Hart. I was his first match in the United States. I liked what Bret, I liked the gimmick. I liked everything about it, because if you noticed, Bret and Owen and Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong and Brady Boone and Reno Riggins and Sam Houston. I could go on and on. Marcus Bagwell. We're all wrestlers. You know, we're not. We're showmen and wrestlers. We're just not showmen. We know how to wrestle, and that's our gimmick. If we have a gimmick, we know how to wrestle. So,
What do you think? What do you think about the screw job? The screw job of Bret Hart 1987 with Shawn Michaels. The story. The story.
I was in WCW when that happened. I really didn't know. I just heard, you hear from the people in the know and the locker room, and then I saw some stuff on YouTube, and then I saw the documentary Wrestling in the Shadows of Bret Hart and stuff. It's a shame. It shouldn't. I don't know. Some people, some wrestlers. I mean, I'm trying to put this proper, but I understand you're protecting your gimmick and everything, but we're entertainers and professional athletes. Okay, this is part of it. There's got to be a winner and a loser. Sometimes these guys really think they're living their gimmick, or they think they're really the world champion when they go to bed. Unless you're a boxer or a UFC fighter, you're not. And if you are thinking you're the tough guy, maybe you need to sign up for UFC, open up the cage door, and let Brock Lesnar knock you out in 10 seconds. And then you'll wake up and say, I think I want to come back to pro wrestling, sir.
Yes. And speaking of wrestling, I consider I'm an artist. I consider a wrestler an artist because a wrestler is not just an artist, but a wrestler needs to have a gimmick, a character, a charisma. I think a good wrestler today, for example, we have a bunch of a cruiserweight, but this cruiserweight they looks like just a very good flying, but many of them haven't charisma, haven't character. They are just good in the ring and nothing. And to me, it's not good because I think the best thing of your era is that everyone had a character, had a gimmick, had a charisma. And I think it's most important because you are like an artist, not like an athlete and stuff. What do you think about that?
Yes, I totally agree with you, Alan. You made a great point there. I'm glad you touched on that. When you get in the ring, if you're being pushed or you're not being pushed, you don't look the part. I'm not saying you have to be all jacked up and gassed up, if you know what I mean, all juiced up. But if you look like a professional athlete and your attire is custom, I know you can relate to this because you're an artist yourself. And if you do that and conduct yourself, you're not slamming chairs, you're not just kicking and clotheslining the face paint, but you're actually doing something. So at ringside, when somebody watches me wrestle, they're going to go, that guy is a wrestler. He's an artist. He's been taught this. It's just not punch, kick, clothesline, poke the eye. Anybody could do that in the back street, city of Italy or United States, the back of a bar. Anybody could do that. It doesn't take much. But when you do a pretty leg drop or a Northern Light suplex or a belly to belly or some amateur move or an Oklahoma roll or a backslide, an inside cradle, you've been taught. That's called professional wrestling. That's what it says on the marquee outside of Madison Square Garden. Tonight, pro wrestling. Doesn't say anything else.
Yes.
So that's how I look at it, and that's what I wanted to project to fans. And obviously I did, because I think with my look and my know-how and my ability, I got myself over, okay? Because I had no connections, no brothers, no sisters, no father, no promoter friends, I did it Barry Horowitz way. I think it helped. I wish it could have went further, but what are you going to do? You could quit. I mean, it's amazing how sometimes you get pushed, sometimes you don't. Some people get pushed, they shouldn't, and then some people need to be pushed and they're not. It's a shame. It's just That is the politics of professional wrestling.
Okay. During we back in the early in the late 80s, you have also
Uh-huh.
match against this guy Fred Ottman, aka Tugboat. I
Tugboat.
have I had some conversation with Fred on Facebook. He's a really nice guy. He's a gentleman in real life. What do you think about Tugboat
I like
as a
Tug. I like Fred. He's a fellow Jew, so I gotta like him even more. He's in my circle. He's in my clique. But I do like Fred. I know him since I met him in Jarrett Promotions, and I forgot his name. Oh, Big Bubba. I think his name was Bubba. I'm not sure. But
Big Steel, something like that. Maybe
he
Big Steel.
Steel, Florida, and then he was Tugboat, and I was one of the first to wrestle him. He did very well. I just traveled with Fred about a year and a half ago. We were in New York together. We were with the same promoter. We traveled together. We ate together. He's a good guy. He's funny. He's more quieter now, but he's a funny guy, and people like him. And they loved coming to the table and seeing him. But most of all, they loved him as the Taskmaster. They love it. Love
Uh, yes. And speaking of another giants on the same years, that maybe it looks like because Fred sometimes in the interview said, "My brother with a different mother is this guy." Talks about Earthquake.
Oh,
John
Earthquake.
Taylor.
Yes.
And you had many matches against Earthquake, also in the live event in the house show. What do you think about Earthquake?
Like Earthquake. He was quiet. He was an athlete in his own right. I think he was a sumo wrestler back in the day in Japan. And like I said, he was quiet. I've only worked with him a few times, single matches, a couple of tags, no problem. Never had a problem with Earthquake. And he actually was a pretty funny guy, too. I liked him. Another,
And
sad guy that sadly missed.
yes, he passed away too early. He was, I believe, 42 years old. It's so
Yes,
sad.
so
Yes, he
sad.
said that the many peoples of your era passed away right now. Many guys are gone right now.
I know.
It's sad. And also, you work in the WCW in 1990. Do you have some memory about your works in WCW?
Um, Nothing too much. I mean, I enjoyed myself. It was good to be on Nitros and Thunders and Saturday nights. Got to know Sting and some other guys I liked much. Just yeah, it was good. It was a shame it had to come to an end and it closed and got bought by Vince. I think I would have been there longer. They were starting to push me and Alan Funk, and it didn't get to transpire because of Vince bought WCW. But I liked being there. It was fun. It was fun.
Okay. And you back into the WWF also in 1991, and also especially in 1992, and you had some match also against Surgeon Slaughter. This is my
Yes,
figure of Surgeon Slaughter.
I think I've
What do
only
you?
wrestled maybe once or twice.
Yes, few
Yeah.
times.
Huh?
Few times you
Yeah.
you have a
Nice guy. He's another quiet guy. Nice guy. Didn't really know him that well. I think I traveled with him and his partner back in the day, Don Kernodle.
Oh, okay.
And they were very nice to me. I know Don Kernodle better than Sergeant Slaughter. He was a good guy, Don Kernodle, good worker. His brother Keith Larson, good. They both worked in Mid South. Mid South was Crockett. Mid Atlantic was Crockett. Mid South was Jerry Jarrett. And very nice, very quiet. Didn't get to know him really that well. I used to see him in his later years. I think he became an agent and just seen him here and there.
Okay. And what do you think about another legend that you fight many times in the WWF? I'm talking about of Texas Tornado. This is Texas Tornado. Kerry Von Erich, Texas Tornado.
Kerry Von Erich. Now, that's a short, simple story. I only met Kerry a few times, and I've only wrestled him once at the Sun Dome in Florida. It was a Monday Night Raw. Just wrestled him once. Nice guy, very polite, and just used to. I think I've said hello to him a handful of times, and that was about it.
What do you think about this the tragic death of Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich?
I really think that family was cursed. I'm not sure. I don't know. I shouldn't even say that, but it's just a shame. I think the only one that's left is Kevin, and he was a good athlete. I think I've only met him once for a cup of coffee, like a minute, and that's all I remember. But a good performer, good wrestler. I saw him on some TV shows, some interviews. I don't know him very well, but it is tragic about Kerry. I mean, back in the day, he was majorly pushed, world champion against Flair. It was big. It was huge going to world-class championship wrestling. Fritz Von Erich and the Von Erichs, big time.
Okay, and later you go to Japan. You have some match also against Abdullah the Butcher. What do you think about your experience in Japan?
I loved working for All Japan, the Giant Baba. The organization was excellent because what I liked about that company is if you couldn't wrestle, you're gone. You're on a plane back to the States the next day. I liked the traveling. I liked the bus. I liked the food. The gyms were pretty cool there. Everything was a learning experience. Everybody was good wrestlers there. Not too many joking around type of things. It was all business and all seriousness. I liked it a lot. I had a few tours there. I was there for one tour for a month solid. It was awesome. In the summer, it's hot. In the winter, it's very cold there. But I did like it, and I did like in my hotel room when I was there in July watching the sumo tournaments. Very interesting. And in fact, one of the champions came to our show once and brought us food. It was very respectful to take it, and they were very nice to us. And, the people of Japan, the fans are phenomenal. I mean, when you walk down the street, they separate for you. They're out of respect, and I like that a lot. They're just good people, and they know good wrestlers, and they're just good, solid wrestling fans.
Cool. And when you're back in the WWF, you have also some match against the Undertaker. This is the Undertaker. What do you think about Undertaker? Do you have some story about Undertaker?
Every time I wrestled him, he took care of me. I like that a lot. He's a big man. I met him in WCW when he was Mean Mark. I'm glad for him and his gimmick. I mean, it did fantastic. I never had a problem with him in the ring. He's very quiet. I've talked to him in the locker room and, here and there. I never rode with him or hung out with him. He had different friends that, different than me. So he had his friends, I had mine. But as a professional, much respect. And I hope he respected me too.
Okay, you fight also against another big guy, the Big Boss Man. This is the Big Boss Man figure.
Yeah.
What do you think about Boss Man? Your match with Boss Man?
I liked his gimmick. I liked working with him. Took care of me, and he was very funny. He used to hang out in the locker room with Kurt Hennig. They traveled together. Nothing against Big Boss Man. He's just a nice guy. I liked working with him. And that was about it. I've only traveled with him maybe once, and that's it. So,
okay. And your first pay-per-view, if I'm correct, was as a one of the night of Shawn Michaels on Survivor Series 1993. It's correct?
Yes, it wasn't my first pay-per-view, but it was my first biggest main event pay-per-view. I mean, that was if I'm not mistaken, that was for Survivor Series. And that was the Boston Gardens. And it was supposed to be Lawler. I think he was, something happened with Lawler. I don't know, legal problems. So Shawn took his place. I was the Red Knight. And everybody has to be at every pay-per-view, every show when you're under contract for Vince. And just in case you may have to work, and it was my night, they came up to me and they said, Terry Funk won't be here. You're taking his place. Well, first of all, that's an honor. I'm taking Terry Funk's place. Wow. I mean, Terry Funk is a wrestling machine icon. I watched him when I was in school. The man was a wrestling heel. Phenomenal. Promos, look, everything about him. I mean, as far as the great NWA world champions, in my eyes, Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Ric Flair, Jack Briscoe, and I think that's it. Jack Briscoe and Ric Flair and Terry Funk and Dory Funk, and there was something. Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry. The late great Harley Race.
Harley Race, awesome.
True. And
what do you think?
True.
He was one of the night of Shawn Michaels. What do you think about Shawn Michaels? The click and everything about that. The click.
This click and these ribs and stuff. I don't know a lot about him. Maybe I mind my own business. Maybe I'm naive to it. Who knows? I really don't care. I mean, I'm alive. I'm here today. If that's the way you get your fun and your kicks, come on, guys, grow up. But that's another story. And then there's just jokes and thing. Shawn, he's sometimes a wise guy to me, but he never meant harm. I've had really good matches with Shawn, single matches, tag team matches with him and Magnetti. Never travel with him. Been at the gym with him and the locker room. I thought he was respectful to me and never, animosity. I never had a problem with him. If I did, I didn't know about it. So, no. Getting back to the Red Knight, I did take Terry Funk's place, and that, like I said, it was an honor. The story is Terry couldn't make that. I don't know how true the story is, but I think he called up Vince and told him his horse was sick.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that's made up or not. Maybe he's got expensive horses. Maybe he didn't care. I don't know, but I was happy to be the Red Knight because I progressed as the Red Knight. I was the Red Knight for 6 months to a year.
Cool.
And that's the first time and only time I worked under a mask.
It's difficult to work with a mask during a match.
And I had to change from Mr. Technical Barry Horowitz to the Red Knight. So I had to change my stuff up a little bit.
But breathing during the match with the mask is not a problem. Use the mask during the match it's difficult to use a mask during the match.
Yeah, it is. I'm not used to it. This was a chinless one, so it was a little bit better, but I got used to it.
Okay. And in 1995, you on Monday Night Raw, you had a match against Double J Jeff Jarrett.
Yes.
What do you think about Jeff Jarrett? Because I think you said that you work for his father.
Yes. I knew Jeff when I first worked for Jarrett Promotions. I had a few matches with him. He was fine. He was fine at WWE. I never traveled with him and just saw him in the locker room. He's pretty quiet. He hung out with the Road Dogg a lot and other guys. So I really don't know him that well. I seen him at a meet and greet about 2 years ago and said hello to him. But yeah, he's a good wrestler, and the Double J gimmick was pretty cool. And that's about it.
Okay, you had also some match against.
I'm sorry I'm moving around so much. My back and legs are hurting from my workout today and yesterday.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And you had also some match against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H.
Yes.
In those years, you thought that it was possible that in the future he became so powerful like that, because today looks like one of the leader of the WWE right now. But in those days, you can imagine that. In those days, it was impossible to imagine it.
I never thought. No, I mean, I'm good for him. He progressed. Married Stephanie. His work improved. His body improved. I again never traveled with him. Knew him in the locker room. Had numerous matches with him. I think I was one of his first matches, and he probably doesn't remember me no more because I've actually sought employment as a coach for the Performance Center in Orlando, and it sounds like they're not interested in Barry Horowitz. Why, I don't know. So I'm seeking for another coaching position with another major company. I think I'm more than qualified. My resume speaks for itself. If somebody doubts me, maybe they need to try me or test me or outcoach me. And if they could do that, then I'd like to see that. I really would.
Okay, now we talks about maybe the highlights of the part of your career when you receive your push in the feud between Barry Horowitz, is you, and Skip, when you defeat Skip and the catchphrase "always win, always win." What is the backstory for this push between you and Chris Candido?
I like Skip a lot. Here's another one. Gone too soon. We got along. His wrestling ability, his look, everything. It was like a night off wrestling, Skip. There was no pulling teeth or arguing or egos. We both know, little trade secret, a lot of pros don't even know this out here, or even veterans. Well, veterans do. If you're a good veteran, you know that get the match over. That's the most important thing. Not yourself, not this, not get the, what does that mean? The whole match. Skip, me, the referee, the people out there, even the ones in the cheap seats up there, get the match over. If you learn how to do that, less ego, you'll have more fun, less injuries, and less pulling teeth. It'll go like this instead of cockeyed like that. But a lot of guys don't
Okay.
learn that. They don't know that, or they think, oh, I'm wrong, or I was just enhancement, or I don't know this. But I've been around the world a couple of times. I've been in this business over 30 years. Um, if you're counting me out and thinking that way, you don't know how to count.
And who had the idea to give you this push with Skip and also your victory on SummerSlam 1995?
I was told, it was the office. Pat Patterson told me, and they saw me progressing, and I've been there a long time, and maybe it was time to give Barry Horowitz a push because I never thought I need to leave. I never thought, oh, I'm not wrestling tonight. I never thought that. I just kept on going forward, kept on pushing, positive attitude, get dressed, do it, do like you're always doing. And that night, of all nights, it paid off. It did. And it progressed for over a year. I was captain of my team at Survivor Series. I was at
Yeah.
Royal Rumble, in your house matches, WrestleMania. I was on the All Stars baseball game, the wrestlers against the Stars in Anaheim. Did a TV commercial for karate fighters with Hakushi. I mean, it was really awesome, and I got to do. I was at the Slammy Awards. I was up for an award as Shocker of the Year. There was a lot of things going on for Barry Horowitz, and I think it made Barry Horowitz black and white into color, so to speak. So from good to great, I progressed.
And you work with and this start with your feud with the Skip. And we're also this manager, this is Sunny. What do you think about Sunny? Sunny, the manager of
I,
Skip?
I'll be honest with you. When I knew Sunny, young girl, she was young in the mind, and I didn't know her that well. I really didn't. I didn't hang out with them. Remember now, I traveled alone or traveled with. Sometimes I travel, with Barry Darso or Nails or Glenn Jacobs or Al Snow, and then a lot myself alone. It's just easier that way. I could eat where I want and train where I want and stay where I want. No arguments and this, and that. So I really don't know her. And then after the years go by, especially the last 5 years, I've heard about Sunny in trouble and her demons, and I don't know what's going on, but You know, you have a lot of choices in life. You've got the right choice, which is my favorite. You got the wrong choice, and then you got the stupid choice. And the only other choice you do have, number 4, is the turnaround choice. Turn your life around. Otherwise, you're going to be broke, in jail, or dead. And I don't want
Yes.
any. I don't want it.
Yes, yes, and it looks like a life with for some rock star musician made the
Yes.
same.
You live in that fast rock star lane, the left lane, you're going to die.
Yes, because this is a problem in general for also for many artists, also writers sometimes the same problem. Because I'm also a writer with
Yes.
no, I write many
You,
novels.
you know, I urge people, I don't know if they like these songs, listen very carefully to the words of Garth Brooks in the song The Dance.
Ah,
And then
okay.
listen to Miley Cyrus's song The Climb. They're very similar. And the bottom line with that is you got to climb. You got to pay your dues to go to the dance. You don't go from the dance here to there. You got to step. You got to do the climb. And it's worth it. You'll respect it. You'll be a better person. You'll be a better athlete. You'll be a better professional wrestler. You'll be a better in life. But if you go from here to there, no dues paid, not good. If I had my way, I would have everybody training and broken in and starting in Japan. You'll learn to respect the business more.
I'm agree with you. I'm agree. I like this message. It's very cool. Also for everyone that watch right now this stream. Interesting words by our friends WWE legend Barry Horowitz. I have other 3 questions before to take a look of the fans. Um, what do you think? You have some match also against another super heavyweight. This is my custom figure, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, I like King Kong Bundy. He was funny. He liked to complain and bitch, but he was just being funny. I've traveled with him only a couple times. Harmless guy. I never worked with him, but I liked Chris. I thought he was a pretty cool guy, and he was funny. He's just a hilarious person. I missed that because he brightened up my night listening to Chris complain.
But it's true that Under the Giants didn't like King Kong Bundy. It's true.
Didn't like who?
King Kong Bundy, Under the Giants,
Now
didn't
that I
like it.
don't know. I don't know about that, and I've heard a lot of stories. I've never heard that. I don't know why he wouldn't like him. I mean, I don't know. I know he didn't. Like I said, Bam Bam, Ultimate Warrior, John Studd, maybe Bad News Brown. I don't know. I'm not. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he liked Lex Luger. I don't think he liked people like. I don't know, but I always got along with him.
Okay.
I was one of the few that I got to call him. His nickname was Boss, and Arnold Skolin would call him that. Bob Backlund, and he let me call him that. And if he didn't like you, he just wouldn't talk to you. And you could feel it. You could feel, the elephant in the room if Andre was there and didn't like you. Not good. Not
Bad
good.
news.
And Vince McMahon loved Andre.
And you have also some match in 1996 against the ringmaster Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Steve Austin? And in those years, it was a difficult image in those years that it became a top star 1 year later. 1997, he exploded.
Yeah. He progressed very well. I mean, good for him. I liked wrestling. I think I only wrestled him once or twice. It was fine. Yeah, I've never traveled with him. Knew him in the locker room. Don't know him really, really, really that well. Like I said, I didn't travel with him, and I just see him in the locker room. Sometimes we're in separate locker rooms. Hey, how you doing? Shake the hand. Out of respect and code, so to speak, in the professional atmosphere. Yeah, but props to him for progressing. He's doing very well. I've seen his show. I like it. I've never been on his podcast. I guess I'm not big enough star to be on his show. Oh, well.
Which era when you work do you prefer? Do you prefer, speaking of WWF, which era you prefer? The WWF of Vince McMahon Sr., the golden era of the new generation era? What is your favorite era where you work?
I like the WWF and the 90s. Yes, I like that. I prefer that. It was very busy and we were on the go a lot. I was on the road a lot and getting hurt and wrestling every night, hitting the gyms, it was very busy. It was, but I'm not complaining. No, I was young and I could do it and I wanted to. So, that's it. It's part of it. It's part of it.
And you back in WCW in 1998, is correct?
Yes. I had a neck injury. I took a year off, basically almost broke my neck, and they didn't have room for me in the WWF roster, so they say. And so I went to WCW.
And you had a match against Chris Benoit, it's correct? That you had a match against Chris Benoit?
I wrestled him one time.
What do you think about Benoit history?
He had a good look, good wrestler. I emphasize that because if I'm not mistaken, he was taught by the Harts. I only wrestled him once, and I didn't care for maybe it's just his attitude or his dry sense of humor, or he's an introverted type of person. I had to almost prove myself to him. If he doesn't know who I am, he's not watching. He knows I'm good friends with Owen Hart and that Malenko's broke me in. So maybe he didn't respect me, but I think maybe he respected me after that match. I showed him, what I could do, and I didn't even push the needle that far. And I could have if I wanted to. And if I pushed it any further, I would have probably got fired because I would have beat him right in the middle. So
okay. And now we read if there is some question for the fans, there is
can I ask?
Yes.
You there? Okay. If you don't mind, we're gonna do some questions. If you don't mind, I just wanted to thank my fans very much for tuning in right now all over the world. My fans, they're very good to me. And also, I just, before I forget, and I want to answer these questions, I just wanted to tell the fans that I'm very popular on Facebook and Cameo.com, and also ProWrestlingTees.com and YouTube. And now I am on the WWE Network. They're going to do a backstory on me in a couple of months. So that'll be on there for, I think, an hour or two. So, and also BarryHorowitz.com. And I just wanted them to know those sites where they could, if they didn't know them, go to them, and it goes to all over. And I just wanted to let that, because sometimes I forget.
Perfect. There is a message for you and me. Hello, Alan and Barry. How are you doing today, guys? And my question for Barry, who was your wrestler inspiration growing up?
Who was my inspiration?
Yes, this is the question for him.
I had a few, and I'm going to say it was a few, but my main ones were Jack Briscoe, Mike Graham, and Don Morocco.
The Morocco, the Magnetti.
Sorry, one other that's very important, Bob Orton Jr.
Bob Orton Jr., okay. Another question is, People's Wrestling Channel. Have you met The Rock? What do you like? He talks about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. You ever meet The Rock?
I've only met him once, and this was when he was green. This is when he first started. I think he was on a tour with us, and we were in England, and we were eating breakfast together. Me, The Rock, I think 3 other wrestlers, but I know his father, Rocky Johnson, and traveled with him when The Rock was just young Dewey. Dewey Johnson, Dwayne. But that's what Rocky called him. My boy Dewey. That was his nickname. And I know Rocky Johnson. I admire Rocky when he was in Florida Championship Wrestling. He was the Florida champ, and his boxing ability. And I traveled with him, and I watched his matches. This is back when Vince Sr. was alive, and then Vince, he worked also for Vince Jr., and that's where I met The Rock. Only once or twice I met him. So he was in his 20s.
Okay, there is some shout out for someone, Ello Berry, someone good evening, gents. Someone that make a shout out for both me and you. Hello is some fun. I have the last question is from me. My question. The last question is: in your long career, what is the best wrestler that you ever meet in the ring, and the worst in your career? The best and the worst that you ever meet in the ring.
Oh my God. I don't know about the best. That's really hard. I mean, that's really hard. It really is. I mean, I've wrestled a lot of people I wanted to wrestle, and as far as I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, Skip was one of them. Owen Hart was one of them. Reno Riggins was one of them. Brad Armstrong, Scott Armstrong, Brady Boone. There's just so many. As far as the worst, that's hard too. I don't know. Tiger Conway Jr. was one of them. I didn't have too many guys I really didn't like. Warrior, just some that were idiots. I don't know about. I don't know if I could put the worst in the first because I've had so many good and so many bad.
Is another question. Yes. There is a question for a fan. Wrestler Crew. Who would you have liked to fight against?
Oh, that's real easy. Now this, hands down, I would love to have a 60-minute Iron Man match with Kurt Angle.
Cool. Should be very cool.
It would be very good. You would see wrestling at its finest personified. Oh yeah, it's true. It's real true.
Okay, and now, my friends, thanks for watching. To enjoy this awesome interview with the legendary Barry Horowitz. And don't forget to follow Barry Horowitz on social media. And don't forget to subscribe this channel. And don't forget, because it's possible that in the future, Barry Horowitz will return on this channel, maybe for another interview in the future. Could be cool if you want in the future.
Could I leave on? I need to leave you with this note that, Alan, there's a lot of great wrestlers. I think there is in this world, but Barry Horowitz wrestles great.
Yes, it's the best. Thank you so much, Barry Horowitz. To enjoy the stream. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. I love doing the interview with you, and eat some good Italian food, especially the pizza. For me, I've been to Milan. I've been to Italy. I love it there. The people are so respectful. They filled the seats up, tons and tons of people.
Yes, here we are. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you
for my stream, and don't forget to stay safe and love the life.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, my friends. Goodbye.